I'm Brian, and that's Dez. And every week on PSVR,
This week,
we take a look at the new VR games that are coming to the PlayStation Store this week.
we gather up all the trailers we can find, all the descriptions we can plagiarize, and condense them down to the short video for you.
Sometimes we look at delayed games, updates, DLC, or new game announcements.
So without further ado, here's PSVR This Week.
Falcon Age starts off on a dying colony planet with its culture destroyed, resources depleted, and turned into a desert by machine invaders. Ara has been wrongfully thrown in jail for a minor infraction. While she awaits her fate in a lonely cell, she passes the time by befriending a young Falcon. Together they escape and set off on an adventure to help the Resistance reclaim their freedom and drive off the invaders. Falcon Age, while completely playable in non-VR, was designed with PlayStation VR in mind, offering full control with either the DualShock 4 or dual move controllers. And as one of my most anticipated PlayStation VR games of 2019, I can't wait to share my review with you later this week. Ultra Wings Flat is the non-VR version of the popular flight game where you pilot multiple aircrafts to complete a variety of missions across an island-themed world. Pop balloons, perform in thrilling air races, take photos, and so much more. It's not technically PlayStation VR news, but this non-VR update will be free for current owners of Ultra Wings VR. With that being said, when I was doing research for this episode of PSVR This Week, I noticed that the retail price of Ultra Wings on the PlayStation Store is only $15 now, down from its launch price of $25, and worth every penny. Imagine yourself playing a first-person shooter with move controllers in each hand. You come under fire, and thanks to the 3D rudder, you can use your feet to dodge incoming attacks and leave your hands to concentrate on firing back, while glancing around for additional enemies. According to the team at 3D Rudder, it's simply a much more immersive experience. Adding to the sales pitch are 30 compatible games confirmed for launch, including a few surprises on the list, like Contagion VR Outbreak, Pros, and Shadow Legend, strangely none of which have confirmed release dates yet on PlayStation VR, and are unlikely to be out by 3D Rudder's new release date of June 17th. It'll be a tough sell at the $120 price point, especially considering you have to sit down to use it, but I'll reserve judgment until I've tried one for myself. Immerse yourself in the virtual world of Conrad the Kitten and experience the first virtual cat that feels like a real one. And Update 2.0 will be by far the biggest update for the game yet. It'll add a new world, a huge feature that hasn't yet been announced, and possibly best of all, it'll also improve a lot of the existing content to make the game easier to access and more fun to play.
Demon's dread thought.
Somehow more and more footage of Undead Citadel appears almost weekly, and with developers Dark Curry posting a short Q&A on their site recently, a little more information about the game has been released to the public. On the page they confirm options for full locomotion, teleportation, and support for the 3D rudder, discuss that there is in fact a story, along with a variety of potions that'll alter your status, and that the videos we've seen thus far are from actual in-game footage. And for the PlayStation VR naysayers, they even released this video of Undead Citadel in alpha, running just fine on a PSVR headset. Since we're still a really small YouTube channel, we still very frequently have to go to major media outlets for information. So for these next few previews, I'll be referencing various sites around the internet that you're probably familiar with, starting with the biggest. Mark from IGN got to go hands-on with No Man's Sky VR and had this to say, quote, "I can't really describe how it felt, teetering just above the planet's surface. It didn't feel like No Man's Sky anymore. It felt lonely, exciting, and honestly a little scary. That's No Man's Sky VR in a nutshell, taking something you once knew and experiencing it in a completely different light. All I wanted to do was fly and explore. Well done, Hello Games."
Morning, sir. Our travel time to Shanghai is 11 hours, 15 minutes.
Told you we should have taken the faster flight.
I think the board prefers you wear a more conventional suit to these company meetings.
You can't outrun your...
Next up, Steven from Kotaku, who was privileged enough to get to play a 30-minute demo of Iron Man VR. And he says, quote, "At the start of the demo, I was flying off the coast of Malibu, getting in some flight training and some target practice. Point your palm toward a target, press a button, and you shoot a blast from your Iron Man gloved hand. Hold a button to lock, then swing your arm, you'll fly toward a target and punch it. The shooting and punching immediately felt good. I felt like a superhero, like I really was in an Iron Man suit. Not bad." Says developer Ryan Payton, quote, "We're not making a rail shooter. We're not making an amusement park game. We're not making a short demo or an experimental Iron Man experience. We're making a full game with a deep sandbox, with a deep story, and plenty of great missions and great cinematics."
Above you!
That's how it's done.
Threat neutralized.
Good. I have a plane to catch.
Ryan Marks. SAS Nomad Squadron. You're facing multiple life sentences. Conspiracy. Arson. More murders than we could even count.
And then finally, David from Upload VR got to play Blood and Truth, a game that he's played many times before, but this time came away with some much more positive impressions. He says, quote, "After 15 minutes of pure action, I was nearly out of breath, and I hadn't once gotten up from my chair. It's a great feeling that no other VR game has nailed yet. So many VR games seem focused on letting you do what you want and interact with the world in bizarre and often zany ways. But Blood and Truth feels more like a blockbuster film simulator. It totally challenges what I think when someone typically describes a game as cinematic, in the traditional sense. Overall, I've got to say that I really wish there were more games like Blood and Truth in VR, with clear, deliberate pacing, great action set pieces, and insanely good voice acting performances. This may not have the massive world and interactivity that VR gamers have come to expect from so many other titles, but it delivers such a pure shot of focused and intense adrenaline, and at every step, I don't even care."
Anything will tell us what Tony's up to. Got it.
We need to push back hard or we're finished.
Ryan, are you sure about this?
Get me underneath! Closer! Closer!
No!
Average weekend, really.
Over on the PlayStation blog, Jeff Brown, the creative director at San Mateo Studio, details the 2 PlayStation VR modes for their upcoming game, Concrete Genie. He says, quote, "In our first PSVR mode, VR Experience, you follow a curious genie named Splotch beneath Denska's ominous lighthouse on a quest to unlock a mysterious power while using your living paint in a completely new way. I don't want to give away too much, but what we came up with is pretty special. But that's not all. While looking at other possible PSVR modes for the game, everybody had a simple, common desire to stand in one of the game's alleyways, paintbrush in hand, using living paint to bring our surroundings to life. A completely immersive, first-person painting experience. This was the springboard for building the first prototype of what would become our Concrete Genie PSVR free paint mode. You'll have the choice between 4 unique locations where you can play and experiment with all the living paint and Genie creation brushes you collect during your Concrete Genie adventure. All with the intuitiveness that 2 PlayStation Move motion controllers provide.
To paint this whole town back to life.
Cuivre literally puts the power of the bow and arrows in your hand. Tasked with defending your keep and the power within from an ever-advancing enemy, you'll find yourself in a thrilling fight for your very survival. It won't be an easy battle, but with steady hands and powerful friends, you're sure to succeed. With satisfying, intuitive archery gameplay, Cuivre allows for up to 4-player co-op action and is coming to PlayStation VR later this month, on April 16th. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to PSVR
This week. We'll be back next week to tell you all about the VR games coming to the PlayStation Store.
But keep in mind that no one outside of Sony really knows what games are coming when.
But we'll do our best to keep you up to date each and every week on PSVR This Week.